Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I am your head judge. Don't give a fuck. Welcome back to the Weekly Steelchair, of course, on the Weekly Armchair Sports Talk. And it's a good blockbuster show today. It's the first of two, actually. Two over the weekend. I'm hosting today, but tomorrow it's Eilidh's turn. But obviously, we'll come to that at the very end of the show. But of course, the main point of the whole show is, how are you doing?
They're all right, yeah, just getting by again, just winding down to the summer. So another week closer to that. You getting on okay?
I'm doing not too bad, yeah, I'm not too bad. Long week, but I'm just looking forward to the weekend. I watched some New Japan this morning. Rewatched some old New Japan matches as well, but obviously I watched the Road to Strong, and obviously we spoke about the G1 and all that last week, so I'm looking forward to that very soon as well. But no, generally good week. Good week.
And who is it in the WWE that's had a good week? Well, it's a good week to be any one of these six names. As of course we finally did get our Money in the Bank field. I think it was actually finalized on Raw. We weren't even waiting on SmackDown for one. So here's your field of six. You have Ricochet, you have Shinsuke Nakamura, you have L.A. Knight, Santos Escobar, Butch, aka Pete Dunne, and Damian Priest. So we're back to a six-man Money in the Bank.
There's a spoiler,
which I'm good
apparently.
with.
There's a spoiler, apparently. And I just want to get your thoughts on this, because this is on Monday, apparently. There's rumours that Logan Paul's actually going to either take the spot of a superstar in the match, or he's going to be added to the match and make it 7 men. Personally, if it was up to you,
I've heard the Logan Paul rumour. I think it's probably just coming from the fact that there was a story a few months ago that it was either Logan Paul or LA Knight that was going to win it. Now, of course, a lot of plans have changed since then.
True.
And I suppose we'll find out. I can't see Logan Paul being there. If Logan Paul's going to be involved in anything, he'd surely continue going after Seth.
I'd assume so, because Seth does have an open challenge on Raw before he faces Braun Breaker on NXT.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that, though.
I do wonder what the initial plan really is going to be, but personally saying, if Logan Paul's actually added to the match, I would take out Ricochet. I would take Ricochet out, and I would have Logan Paul replace him.
Come on, man. No, that's not the one to remove.
No, personally, I would remove him. Even though he's absolutely brilliant in the ring, I would remove him because I do find his character to be quite bland. I think he's quite bland, personally.
He's not really been given a shot to not be bland. Certainly not recently.
I think just overall, I like Ricochet. I'm not taking this as a pinch of salt towards him, but I'm just thinking as a character, when you look at development, his has not got to a grand scale in a long time, and he seems to be dwindling down. And I think they need to reevaluate him. Not saying like reevaluate and then sack him. Like, I mean, that'd be horrible. But I mean, reevaluate his character and see if they can make some tweaks to it, because for all the high flying spots he does and the match he does, he's being overshadowed by a lot of people of his size range because they have more character, and I just don't think he is contributing enough. And don't get me wrong, it's not a dig at him, but it's just from watching him, I do think there's some things there that's missing. And it's a shame, because I do think he is supremely talented. I do. But I just think there's something there that's just missing.
I get it. I think if anyone's going to be removed from this match, I would probably... It would have to be Damian Priest. It would have to for Logan Paul. I mean, the other five... the other five are just so... like, they're such ladder match people. And I think Damian Priest would be okay in the ladder match, absolutely. But also, just generally from a match point of view, Damian Priest is the one that is the least exciting of them in there that could win it, and he's the least exciting in terms of actual, style. At least in my opinion. So
but
I think
surely,
Logan
question
Paul's
to
the
you,
one.
surely to you though, you should keep Priest in the match because at the moment, the Judgment Day is starting to actually change things up a little bit, which is good. Oh, you stupid cat.
They are.
It's changing up a
They
little bit,
are,
you know what I mean?
absolutely. But if Finn Balor's going to turn face, there could be something in it there for Damian Priest to perhaps not make it to the show.
Potentially.
As a result of something Finn Balor does, or something like that, or even more heel heat on more heel heat. Damian Priest could just get suspended or something.
He could do.
Like, what if Damian Priest is the next guy to jump Cody? And then as punishment, Adam Pearce takes him out of the match.
It's not a bad idea. But it just
And
seems like...
especially if it's Finn's idea for
Yeah.
them to jump Cody. You know, you could also then hark back to, of course, the curtain call in a way, because then all the punishments go into the one guy that's got the spot. The other three don't have the spot. So
The only difference though with the curtain call is one of them was at least world champion, and Rhea Ripley's just...
you do have a world champion there. You have Rhea Ripley.
She's a bit of an NPC at the moment. Like,
No,
non-playable character.
she's there protecting Dom. You can't say that.
I know, but when you look at her run, and I am a big fan of Rhea Ripley, but I'm going to say this with confidence because I think they're making a massive mistake with one thing. Her title run really is bad, and it's not because it's so short and it's so short in the run that it's bad. It's bad because she's doing more work with the men's side than she is with the women's division.
This is kind of where it's going. But they've not got anyone to really...
I still think Raquel and Shayna Baszler are the best choices.
You know? Obviously Charlotte's come back and gone straight for Asuka.
I'm sick and tired of this
They've
bitch.
got no one to... And I think the main problem is they've got no one to throw at Rhea who Rhea can beat, but it's not obvious. Because they don't want to use up their big matches for Money in the Bank. Because they're going to London, there will be a little element of, oh, we don't need to like promise them the world here. We just need to give them a good card.
Yeah, I suppose. I just think this is the whole issue with their division, is it's so neglected that they don't know what they're doing. And it really annoys me.
Neglected would be...
I think it's fair to say. I think it's fair to say neglected, because you look at the entire division and it doesn't look like they know exactly what they're doing unless you're certain individuals. Like unless you're like a Charlotte Flair who can disappear for 3 months and then come back and be a title contender, or you're Bianca Belair who is extremely over but she's dominated the title scene, so you expect Bianca to remain in the title picture. Shayna Baszler and all that is stuck with the worst women's professional wrestler I've ever seen in Ronda Rousey. Like, she's stuck with her, can't get away from her, when, to be honest, she should be on her own being an absolute killer. She should be competing for hopefully a mid-card title when it eventually gets debuted, or she becomes a contender for Ripley's world title. I think she should be in that picture. I think Baszler's one of the best going. But I'm hoping, in the sense of it, on SmackDown next week, as much as I do not want Shayna Baszler to lose this one, I think she will take the L. I want Alba Fire and Isla Dawn to win the unification match, but it's not going to be. It's going to be Baszler and Rousey.
Which is weird, because you'd think you would put the new ones over. But I suppose we'll find out if they actually do, or if they don't. And
what do you make of that, by the way, as well?
It's not looking good.
What do you make of that whole unification match?
I think the unification's been a long time coming. There's been no point of having two of them. I think if you've got one set of belts going between the three brands, that's fine. You're still going to need another at least half dozen women's performers. You're going to need a division with a mid-card. And you're going to need teams that feel like they make sense. Even if they are thrown together, and make no mistake about it, Isla Dawn and Alba Fire was thrown together
And luckily
they
they've
feuded,
luckily
and
they clicked
then
as well.
they feuded, and then Shawn Michaels remembered they were both Scottish, and so merged them like that. But the persona works. This whole like two witches thing really works.
Mm-hmm.
It's really quite sinister. It's really quite cool.
I love the presentation as well.
Yeah,
I really
the
do love the
Ronda Rousey and
presentation.
Shayna Baszler works as well. They're like your MMA team. But
Yeah,
so I mean, it's always a thing. It's a thing even on like universe mode on the games. You want to team two people up that feel like they would be a team. So I mean,
yeah,
like my current tag champs and one that I'm doing with Greg, they're called The Influence, and it's Logan Paul and Austin Theory. They've never teamed with each other, but it just feels like something that works
okay,
because they've got the similar personalities that feed off each other. The same way Isla Dawn and Alba Fire are both quite scary. Same with Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler don't settle for second best. You
true.
want teams that actually make sense together. You don't want Raquel Rodriguez just going around. She's Rodriguez now. She was Gonzalez. I forget what way round that is.
True.
You don't want Raquel to just keep going and finding a new partner to have a 3-week title reign with, then lose, then find a new partner and challenge. What sense did Raquel and Liv make sense? Like as a team, what sense did that make?
None, realistically. I think it was just a combination of styles. You got a powerhouse with a technical worker, but it didn't really match as well because I think in a tag team, the one thing you cannot have in a tag team, unless it's when you eventually split and you have this, for me in a tag team, you cannot have one personality dominate the other. It's got to be equal. I look at great tag teams I always go back to the likes of the Heart Foundation. Like it's for me
There's
one of the
a
best
few
tag
tag teams these days that have that one personality dominating the other.
I agree. And I don't think it realistically should. I think it should be an all-round
I don't know,
even
it
base.
can work. It can work if you think of it like the comedy guy and the serious guy. And sort of, it can work in a way. Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne for the Broserweights. We will be coming on to that as, quite aptly, our main event, Jey Uso. We will be coming on to him, but
good to see you, Bill. Good to see you.
Billing, yeah, always good to see you, and anyone else watching. If you're being shy, don't be. We don't bite. We can't. We're through a screen. But the problem. I mean, you look at the Street Profits. Obviously, Montez Ford dominates that. You look at the Alpha Academy. Chad Gable dominates that. Who else even a tag team? I mean, the Usos are twins, so not really. The New Day is a good example of all the personalities actually working because they're all very strong.
Yeah, I'd say the Viking Raiders are the same. I'd say the Viking Raiders, they aren't really. They're both dominant.
They're both dominant in a way that I don't really care. But they are, the OC, I guess they're kind of nothing. Oh, this tag thing's making me sad. And Imperium, we don't know because they're both just fed to KO and Sammy and Matt Riddle as well. And then Gunther shows up, and all of a sudden it's like Dad's home. We need to behave, which obviously we saw that unfold, and we have been seeing it unfold. Which one of them is Gunther gonna fight on the pay-per-view?
Out of Riddle.
So like, is he going to defend the belt, or are we going to get the 6-man? And if not, I'm assuming Riddle's the one they're going with for.
I would say Riddle, because obviously Pretty Deadly won the gauntlet last night, and obviously Flop a Dollar Bills got eliminated in 5 seconds, which is my personal amusement.
Well, of course they that. I think they're just there now to be,
They're shit. Like they're terrible. Like they need to go. Like they need to really go. Like a lot of them, Ashanti, B-Fab, the crap, and Flop Dollar. They honestly need to be sacked. They need to be sacked.
Yeah, they don't get cheered and they don't get booed. They get kind of laughed at.
Yeah, they're getting what Karrion Kross was. Shout out to Karrion Kross last night because him and Scarlett Bordeaux were actually brilliant in the match against Styles and Mia Yim. I thought it was really good that they kept it really quick because obviously Scarlett Bordeaux has not been in the ring in such a long time. But I like the whole dynamic. I like the fact that Kross has debuted a new finisher as well. Still using the cross jacket submission, but he's done this inverted like power slam F5 bitter end that Pete Dunne does all in one, and it looked very powerful when he done it to Styles, and Styles sold it really well. Styles looked dead, like he looked dead, and it looked very good. I like the fact that they're finally taking him seriously, and I'm hoping this is a start of him to. I would still keep on with the AJ Styles feud. Obviously, keep Mia Yim involved, keep Scarlett Bordeaux involved because it's a very good combination. But I'm hoping that this will lead to a match, say between Kross and Styles at SummerSlam. I would genuinely like to see that because if there's anyone that can genuinely get Karrion Kross back to where he is supposed to be, you can't fail with AJ Styles. You just can't fail.
No,
and
that's very true.
And if you fail with Styles, it's on you, not him, because he will not bury anybody unless you're, say, in New Japan and he wants a title. He'll of course bury it because that's what heel does. But when you see him in WWE, he's never buried anybody. Like, he is generally been complete professional, and I generally think he is the one that. It was between him and Nakamura. Obviously, Nakamura was the plan, but then they traded Nakamura to Raw. So they kept Styles on SmackDown, and I like the way they've gone about it, and I'm hoping that this leads to more. Kross versus Styles is a perfect matchup, and all hail Karrion Kross.
It should work as a feud that they can run for a while, but they've got to. The danger, of course, is AJ Styles is just coming off what he did, and you got to be careful about how much that gives him in terms of, okay, how much can we beat him again now? And
he can afford a few.
Yeah, it's what it almost looks like, though. It looks like, okay, we'll get you all the way there, and then we're gonna just beat you like a drum again. And it's interesting. It's concerning. And another thing that's concerning is, of course, there's just been a few big names that have been absent or without program. Feels like we're possibly coming to a changing of the guard moment. Obviously, we haven't seen Randy Orton in a long time. Edge, it's still up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Ray's Lucha World Order, it seems to just be sort of like destined to just hand it over to Escobar.
He looks like a spokesperson now.
He looks like he's just sort of, the legendary leader of the LWO, and Santos is the actual
main guy.
Yeah, so it's kind of like how you had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and then Shredder.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Ray's like the Shredder figure. He's only going to get involved when need be. Not a reference I expected.
More like the Master Splinter.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I've confused him. You see,
Shredder the villain.
I was like, when I said Shredder, I was like, hang on, I don't think that's right. No, Splinter, you're right. There you go. TMNT corrections. I'd like to see the LWO go heel. I mean, yeah, but
I don't. Not yet. I mean,
the Judgment Day's heel. The Bloodline is heel. We'll come on to it. We'll come on to it. Before we get there, we have to treat it like we don't know. So the Bloodline's heel. Judgment Day's heel. We can't have another heel stable at the moment.
I think the one thing I would say though is the fantasy booking we done for the LWO and Dominic Mysterio about 3-4 weeks ago would be the perfect way to actually have them heel. But we're not going to get to that yet because obviously Dom's still heavily involved in the Judgment Day, so we can wait longer.
Dominic Mysterio's about to. This will be interesting. Cody Rhodes has had a lot of matches with people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Dominic has no idea what he's doing, but he's not of that same craft as the people that Cody's fought.
I think that's by design though. I think that's purely by design. Like, Cody needs to be with the experienced matchups first, just to see if he can be that whole finish the story, which I don't think is going to happen anyway. I think it'll be someone else. But when you look at Cody in general, we need to see generally what his overall role is going to be. And I do like the suspense, and that even though he's not been on the roster long, he's still got a general inexperience, Dominic Mysterio, but he still delivers a decent match. He'll still get the heat on him, like just by being there. Doesn't even have to open his mouth anymore. Like, I think you can get something a little unpredictable at this one. I'm actually looking forward to this match at Money in the Bank, personally. I'm actually looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it from an intrigue point of view, because I wonder how often Rhea Ripley's going to be involved.
This
I
is a match I don't want her
wouldn't
to
be
involved.
overly surprised if this is the beginning of Rhea Ripley starting to take on a few male competitors. I had to be careful how I phrased that, because there's certain dirty minds that will take it out of context. You don't know, because they seem to be doing this. Obviously, Rhea Ripley walked past Kevin Owens. There was a stare down. Now promoing with Cody. Obviously, Rhea did enough.
I'm not a fan of. I'm
Damage
not a fan of
to Rey
this.
Mysterio.
I'm not a fan of it because it
don't-
reminds me of China. It reminds me of China and the Attitude
Yeah,
Era.
I don't
China
like
got,
it.
and China
I
got
don't
away
like
with
it at all. I think the whole point of having a big sort of dominant women's champion is that you build up a women's roster that can then maybe have a fighting chance at it. And you can't just look at Rhea Ripley's size and say that that's, well, that's the reason she can't go against any of them. It's like, well, we'll try. Gunther's a lot bigger than just about anyone he's fighting. Rhea versus Solo.
No, I would argue on that one. We've seen it plenty of times. I'm going to say this, by the way. If Rhea versus Gunther happens, all I'm going to say, she gets chopped here. Explosions. That's all I'm going to say. You're just going to see an explosion. So personally, I
That's
hope it
not
doesn't
very
happen.
nice. That's not what I was saying either. Gunther's obviously a lot
am I
bigger.
wrong though?
No, probably not. Gunther's a lot larger than everyone he's fought for the IC title, or just about. I don't have the list of sort of everyone, but when you think as well about Gunther's UK title reign, he was fighting guys that were a lot smaller.
The only one that posed a massive problem to him, but was smaller, was Ilja Dragunov. But that's because he's an absolute psychopath.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's fantastic as well. But the issue there, of course, is okay. Well, you're not framing this right, because Gunther's male. He would only fight the males. You wouldn't put him against the largest women. It's like, no, but then flip that round. Why, just because Rhea Ripley's so much bigger than all her competition, would you suddenly decide that she's in the men's division? And I can see them giving her a title, even if it ends up that she brand splits and wins the US. It wouldn't be something that I can't see at all. Because I think they want. So obviously it was China, then it was Beth Phoenix, obviously fighting a few. I don't think did she ever capture an actual title?
Who?
Beth Phoenix, like a men's
title.
For
the men's division. No, it was only China.
No, she was in the Rumble, and she obviously had. But again, I think it was the same problem back then for Beth Phoenix. She was just bigger.
If she hadn't got pregnant very quickly and she hadn't left WWE, obviously she was called Karma at the time. But Awesome Kong could have won literally any title in WWE. I reckon she could have been WWE champion and nobody would argue, because she weighed the same as. Funnily enough, she weighs the same right now. She only weighs 10 pounds heavier by build gimmick than Roman Reigns.
Oh.
He's 265 as he's built. She's 275. So when you look at it, that's the same weight as what The Rock was in The Rock's prime. I wouldn't have disagreed about Karma being a WWE champion. She could walk in and take that title.
Differently though.
She still could. She was built like
without being mean, distributed differently. Vince McMahon was never going to go for that.
I wouldn't have put it past him.
Maybe we'll skate round that topic rather than going straight through it. Yeah, I mean, what else happened this week? Obviously, we got our Money in the Bank field. Everything else is just a bit of a mess. We know that Seth's fighting Finn. at Money in the Bank. You did say it. You did say it. It seemed fairly open goal. Yeah,
I mean, we do have the Io Sky and Bailey as well. Like, what's going to happen with them? I wonder.
Yeah, and one more spot to be drawn in the women's match. So we're going to
Raquel
do
versus Trish Stratus on Raw will determine that.
Yeah, so we're going to obviously preview this card, but it's about thinking about where we fit it in, because of course Forbidden Door is next, and you're not actually around for Money in the Bank weekend at all. So we'll come on to that. We're probably going to have to split next week into
2 parts,
sort of half and half. So we're going to have to half.
We could do a midweek. We could do a midweek show maybe.
Right.
Like, I
don't know. I think half on Forbidden Door, half on Money in the Bank. So you'll hear who we think is going to win each of these matches in next week's show. So we're on to Collision now.
Yeah.
This has been obviously a talking point. People are hotly anticipating the newest and latest AEW creation. We saw our main event. So what else is going on over there?
I'm just going to get the full card up for you now, so you can see it.
So they've got a full card out already.
Luchasaurus versus Wardlow for the TNT title is also on the card. There is Miro's got a match. Andrade versus Andrade del Idolo versus Buddy Murphy as well. Well, Buddy Matthews is also on the card. And
match,
also the commentary team is Kevin Kelly, Nigel McGuinness, and JR.
Oh.
That has been confirmed. That is your Saturday night commentary team for Collision. What do you think of that? Because I'm going to say this now. You've got the best commentator from Ring of Honor. You've got the best commentator from New Japan. And you've literally got one of the best commentators of all time. And JR, even though he's a little bit sketchy at the moment, all three, that's a very good working team.
It's a very good working team. If I'm honest, these days I can take or leave JR. But Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness, really, really good stuff there. Do you need the 3-man? Is the 3-man booth a bit busy?
I don't mind the 3-man booth. I don't mind it, but as long as it has a good dynamic. I think if it'd been somebody else, then I'd have said no. But I do like this one. I'll be honest.
I like Cole and Graves better now that Saxton's an interviewer.
Yeah.
Because it's just Cole and Graves. People don't like Kevin Patrick over on Raw. I think he's okay.
I think he gets so much.
Jimmy Smith.
I think he gets so much unfair. I'm going to say this now, and I'm confident. I would rather listen to Kevin Patrick all day than Corey Graves. I genuinely think Corey Graves.
Yeah, but you've got some weird loathing against Corey Graves, and
he's cringe as fuck. Like, he's the cringiest guy I've ever heard, and that includes a few other people. But
come on, Excalibur exists, Tony Schiavone exists, Colin McAfee is awesome. McAfee, of course,
it's a good group. So this is the full one. So there's your main event, which is also, as I've kept on the thumbnail 2 weeks in a row. So it's Black and Bullet Club Bullet Club Gold, and Samoa Joe.
You're about to Bullet Club Black and Gold. I was about
to, but to be fair, they pretty much are in a sense. But Bullet Club Gold and Ring of Honor World TV Champion Samoa Joe versus CMFTR, CM Punk, and the AEW World Tag Team Champions. We also have here as well, so Wardlow will defend his TNT title against Luchasaurus. Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale will face Ruby Soho and Toni Storm. And then we also have the returns of Andrade El Idolo, who will face Buddy Matthews of the House of Black, which will be a really good match. But I'm expecting Miro's match to be a squash match, but it's his first match, funnily enough, since Forbidden Door last year.
Yeah, they've got to be building Miro up for something. And I mean, I guess you wonder if that something is TNT title, and therefore they are actually going to have Wardlow drop it.
I'm hoping that they drop. I'm hoping that they drop it to either Hook or Jungle Boy. I know I've been quite critical on Jungle Boy in the past few weeks, and I'm not going to change my opinion on him. But the reason I'm hoping that they do change it up with Jungle Boy is because I do think he needs a heel turn. And whether it be he wins the title from Hook or Hook wins the title from him, end of the day, I want the FTW title retired anyway because it's not doing Hook any favours. Hook is a really good wrestler. I feel sorry for him that he has to hold this
It
title.
reminds people that Hook is related to Taz.
True, but I don't think he needs it.
So it does that.
True. I think people know he's related to him anyway, but I want to see him just have a stamp on
Yeah,
his own.
I mean, anyone that's watching this program is, fully wired in. I mean, obviously, I had a go at it last time out, but these promos where we're just so behind the curtain, so inside baseball. There's no point in hiding anything anymore if you're watching AEW. You know all of it. You are wired to the newsletters. You know every single little rumor. So there's certainly that to it. Do we perhaps sense that Luchasaurus could win on? It'd be a weird shout if they want to do a title change on the first night. It would be a weird shout to do it with a heel.
Would be a weird one. I agree. I don't think they're going to, but the only thing I'm taking in mind is that at the moment Tony Khan has said, and I think a friend of mine obviously appears in the live chat from time to time who was on the last quiz, Davian, gave an excellent suggestion saying, I said that the hard split isn't going to happen, because this is what's come from Tony Khan's mouth. But Davian, in response, and credit to him, says that actually we might still get a hard split anyway if the ratings aren't too bad. He might try and do it, or even make some titles exclusive. So the only three that you can make exclusive are the world title, the tag titles, and the trios tag. But you could make, say, the TBS and TNT titles exclusive to Collision, and you could make the Atlantic and the AEW Women's World Championship. You can make that exclusive to Dynamite. So they're the only two that you don't see on both shows.
That. I'd know exactly which show not to watch.
Cynical.
Well, see, interestingly that you bring that up, though.
I think that
does
would
this
work.
Split AEW's audience?
I'm not sure. I still think it's a big risk doing this. I mean, I hope Collision goes really well because I'm not a big fan of Rampage. I only ever liked one episode of Rampage, and that was the Championship Friday that was done a couple of weeks ago, and that's because they had Zack Sabre Jr. defend the New Japan World TV title, and it was all done by Bryan Danielson. It was his vision. This is what I want. But you've got Dax Harwood who's now on the creative side for Collision with the likes of Bryan Danielson and all that. So they've got something. And Stokely Hathaway's not going to be involved. He's actually the head creative of Ring of Honor now. So I'm like, when I look at it, I'm thinking I'd like to see a little bit of continuity. But the problem is, it's a Saturday night program. I'm gonna watch Collision. I'll watch it, but I think this could have been so much better on a Friday, and you put Rampage on the Saturday. Because the Rampage is practically useless anyway. I would have flipped it round.
Yeah, but it's coming down to the fact that TNT don't want Rampage to be the Saturday because it's associated with low views, like no one caring. And it's going to be interesting. This first episode, so it's going to be fascinating to see. This first episode could top 1 million again. It could.
They do have at least a good establishment of talent on the show.
But there's an episode of Rampage out there with 1.3 million.
That's true.
Now it gets 300, 400,000. So it's how long Tony Khan keeps it going before he gets bored. And I think the risk is if you are doing this sort of hard brand split,
it's a good shout.
You are appeasing the wrestlers. You are not appeasing the fans. Remember, these fans of AEW moved to AEW, started watching AEW because of the Elite.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep the Elite off of Collision, those fans that watch for the Elite, you probably aren't going to find them.
I know. And I think as
Particularly if
much
CM Punk's one of the major players on the other show.
he's been very interesting as of late. Speaking of that, we'll actually come on to it because he actually done a recent interview
Yeah,
with ESPN.
I'm gonna have to get some quotes up.
There was one thing in particular that he's actually said, and he was actually denied this. So I actually respect CM Punk for what one thing I'm about to say. CM Punk's
Easy now.
CM Punk's ESPN interview was actually very positive. I mentioned this before we went live. His interview was actually very positive. I sent it into our WhatsApp group chat the other day, yesterday, sorry. I sent it in, obviously Greg responded saying, seems to be a bit of a work. And then initially I was thinking it as well. But after actually looking through what was said, it's not a work at all. He's actually tried to reach out to the Elite. He's actually tried to reach out and try to apologise over the whole scrum situation. He's tried to apologise to Hangman Page about what happened in the scrum. Like, he wants to just bury the hatchet and he wants to get back to working. But the minute he reached out, he's tried phone calls, he's tried text messages, the lot to the Elite, etc. But he's been brushed back every single time. And he's been brushed back because of legal issues. So what do you make of that? Because again, he's not in the wrong for apologising. He's not in the wrong. At least he's trying to deal with it. But the Elite have been in this sense, have had to obviously ignore all this because of what's happened. They're not allowed to talk about this. Like, it's been signed signed officially through a legal issue. So I can't blame them on this one. I don't think any of them can be blamed. But my concern is, when can they officially bury the hatchet? Because he's actively trying to. Like, because obviously he
When the
doesn't want
Dark
this to
Side of
affect
the
the
Ring
roster.
episode comes out.
Damn. I do think it's about.
That is probably the best answer you're going to get. The only way this is going to come out is if Dark Side of the Ring are like, we're going to get you all of the publicity. We'll shoot the documentary on it, but at the same time, everyone would have to agree. Now, what it strikes me as what's happened is that Kenny Omega and CM Punk, we obviously have spoken about it before, they've talked it out, they've agreed.
Absolutely.
I think this issue lies for Hangman and the Bucks. That's why they're now a trio, as Excalibur would say. A three-man team
The Hung Bucks
matches.
The Hung Bucks, as they're being
Yeah,
referred.
what do you think of that? That's on network television.
It's purely just because of Hangman and the Young Bucks.
They've been called the Hung Bucks before, but it was in New Japan and gym halls. This is national television. Again, you're watching it. It's a bit like when TNA had the Johnsons.
Like, I think you could still have it as the Elite. I mean, Kenny Omega is still technically a member of the Elite, so there's no shame in just calling them as the Elite in general. Like, there's no issue with that. Like, it didn't matter who was out there in the Undisputed Elite, whether it be Cole, Strong, O'Reilly. It didn't matter who was out in a tag team match. It was still referred to as the Undisputed Elite. So I would just stick with it as the Elite. I don't think they need to use the Hung Bucks in AEW. It's got no affiliation to AEW at all. Like he said, it started in New Japan and it worked into Ring of Honor because that's where they were working as well. Just because they're in AEW doesn't mean you have to go and copy the whole thing from New Japan.
Yeah, they just sort of take all their creative from where they were before and they run it back. I mean, Adam Cole's still doing story time with Adam Cole, baby, because it worked before.
At least the audience in general is actually being more of an interest, because obviously I liked the match he actually had with MJF as well to open Dynamite, a 30-minute time limit draw. I liked the whole match. It was actually very good. It was one of MJF's best in recent times on TV. And I like the fact as well that even though it looks like Adam Cole's going to be the one to wrestle it all in next month at Wembley, I like the fact that they completely twisted it and they didn't have a decisive winner. And obviously, post that, it has been confirmed. MJF will defend the AEW World Title. We'll come on to Forbidden Door very shortly, but MJF will defend the world title against Tanahashi.
Yeah,
which is a good match in between up to Wembley. It's a very good match to have for him.
It's a match that really does test what MJF's all about.
Because it's the ultimate babyface from Japan.
But it's also, after this match, people go, "Oh, great! What a great match!" And then no one's going to care. What are you doing? What are you doing? Go there. Go on. Yeah, take that as well. Oh, you're back instantly.
You're not having that,
no? There you go. There we go. She'll be all right. Also, not my dog. No, I'm dog sitting because they're.
Oh, you're dog sitting. Greg's dog guy.
Yeah, so she'll be all right. She'll be all right. Forgot where I was. She's hijacked this show.
Yeah, the match you said people might not remember it.
Yes, I didn't even remember talking about it. But yeah, MJF and Tanahashi, people go, "Oh, that was a really good match," and it will be buried under another 20, 30, 40, 50 really good matches, or sort of just chucked in alongside them. It's not going to be this all-time great match, and at the end of it, you'll be left with MJF again, and he'll still be in the same place he was. The promo performances aren't all that impressive. He keeps mentioning WWE far too much, to the point where it's doing a disservice to what's there. But doing a disservice is exactly what CM Punk did to WWE for a long time.
It's true.
He shows up in AEW and he does a disservice to AEW by making it about WWE. But it's okay in like places. If you think about the CM Punk and MJF thing, there's real parallels to be drawn again. You know, their feud was right. There's real parallels here.
Definitely.
Both have been incredibly unprofessional in their careers. CM Punk's just a bit old for it now. So it's worse when it comes from him. And people kind of accept it as, oh, it's MJF's gimmick, and oh, we best boo MJF. He's the heel. He's not actually hated. He was getting cheered when he was, degrading Adam Cole because he was saying funny things. It's just, I don't see what the match does for him, and I'm not sure what Collision does for CM Punk if it doesn't lead him to the world title again.
I think that's the only logical explanation goes, but I think he has to go through some of the top guys on the show. Like he doesn't have to rework Chris Jericho. He doesn't have to rework MJF until later.
I don't think Chris Jericho's going to want to work with him based on what Chris Jericho's said.
Jericho's actually come out and said he's all right with Punk being in AEW.
Oh, he has to say it now.
No, this was
he's not going anywhere.
This is all making. He said on the Jericho Cruise thing that he did. He came out and just said, I'm actually all right with it.
But what did he say before?
Good point.
Chris Jericho is like Boris Johnson. He'll say what gets him through the next 5 seconds.
But he also said that he would never work with Sting. He doesn't want to do it. And then, funnily enough, 24 hours later, he's in the ring with Sting, and they're going to be in a tag match next week. So, Chris Jericho shouldn't count his chickens.
No, he's probably not going to work with CM Punk. Because CM Punk would. I don't know. Maybe Chris Jericho still fancies himself a bit of a shooter. Maybe that would actually create something interesting.
What I would like to see.
Can't do anything near their feud the first time round.
True. What I would like to see, and it's unlikely, is he did apparently he's brushed off Kenta. Like he's brushed off the match of GTS versus GTS for Forbidden Door. I'm kind of disappointed in that. I really wanted to see that match. I thought that would have been a good match for the two of them. Even though Kent isn't what he used to be, he still delivers a good match. I think it would be good for Punk. I want to see.
What do you make of this idea? I was hoping floating around. CM Punk obviously says no to Kenta.
Mm-hmm.
The speculation that MJF no shows.
there is
until you get
possibility.
CM Punk versus Tanahashi.
Well, he did say, funnily enough, to Renee Paquette that he's not interested, but he's been told he has to defend it, he has to go there. But if he doesn't show up, though, I would have no problem with CM Punk versus Tanahashi, because that is two veterans in the great respect. That is two veterans that would actually work really well against each other, style for style. I think it'd be
Yeah, it will
absolutely
certainly
brilliant.
be better than Jon Moxley's match with Tanahashi, which was forgettable.
He's had a few decent matches as of late, and I say that not as a bias, but I'm saying that as actual, like, just watching. He's actually doing a bit more difference. Speaking of Moxley, they beat the Blackpool Combat Club with Moxley, lost for the first time in a trios match to, funnily enough, the Elite. They actually lost for the first time at the end of Dynamite, where Will Ospreay actually returned to Dynamite, and he actually turned heel on Kenny Omega. He hit the hidden blade on the back of the skull.
You would have to.
Yeah, so we're seeing that obviously Takeshita came out obviously to get stuck at Omega because it's part of the post-match like involvement.
So basically, everyone hates Kenny Omega.
Yeah, everybody
Right.
came out.
Everything I've said, okay, but we need to do this right away, okay? I don't care what they're in the middle of doing. You need to make Orange Cassidy the new Kenny Omega, because that way everyone will just hate him, and I can watch him get beat up every single week.
He's already pretty much busted. The guy needs a break. He's still doing more of a schedule than anybody I've seen on the current roster.
Yeah,
Because
and
he
he'll
actually gives a shit.
probably win the unification match against ZSJ.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you're going to get that at the time, because they're not even. I don't even know when they're going to do that. But speaking, funnily enough, of ZSJ. Speaking of ZSJ, funnily enough, he was in a segment, funnily enough, with Orange Cassidy. It was a backstage segment on Dynamite, and he came out with challenged Orange Cassidy about the title for title. It was discussed, but then Garcia popped up, and then Garcia obviously said, "No, I want this." But then he said, "Actually, I want the thought of being a double champion." And then he said, "What I
Are we
actually
getting
want."
title for title for title?
He's not a champion yet, but
I thought Danny Garcia had a thing.
no,
Oh,
because
he lost it. He lost it
he lost it to
to
Yuta,
Yuta.
who lost it to the man I'm about to mention. He's challenged Orange Cassidy and Shibata to a tag team match on Dynamite with ZSJ as his tag team partner.
Shibata's the pure champion.
Shibata is the pure champion. He won it at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view in the 60-minute Pure Rules match, and he will be on Dynamite.
60 minutes.
Well, that's the classic pay-per-view like rules for the Ring of Honor. Like they had to do 60 minutes.
Wait,
They didn't go that long anyway.
No. So it wasn't 60-minute time limit. Like they actually just went 60 minutes anyway.
No, it was 60-minute time limit match, but it didn't go 60 minutes.
Right.
It went about.
The way you said it, it was like, oh, they actually went an hour.
No, it went about. Shibata versus Yuta went about 35 minutes.
Funny, we're talking about
fine.
Ring of Honor and their hour-long matches. Matt Taven versus Jay Lethal, anyone?
That's one of my personal favourites, funnily enough.
Is it?
I like it. Yeah, any match involving...
When they went an hour for a draw?
Mm-hmm. Any match involving Matt Taven, I like.
That's the real... Is that going to create controversy?
No, because it's not Marty Scurll.
Thought it was dull. Oh, fair. Anyway, so the match card is updated. We know about... Well, we're talking about rumours here, but what was the confirmed?
So at the moment there is 4. It's still 4. I'm expecting
2 last week and it's 4 this week. We'll have 6 by the end of this week, and 3 more will be added for the crack.
I think it'll be a 6 or 7 match card. I don't think they'll go over it. It's the first pay-per-view for AEW outside the US, and it's the first It's the first pay-per-view for New Japan in Canada. So I like that they're actually basing them both at the same time, but this is the current card. 3 title matches plus 1 match is being billed as the best versus the best.
Ah, yes, of course, the Sanada match.
Sanada obviously made an open
I forgot
challenge.
about Sanada just picking Jungle Boy.
He didn't actually. Sanada presented an open challenge to anybody on the AEW roster. Jungle Boy accepted backstage. Jungle Boy asked Hook to be by his side of ringside, saying, "My best friend, will you stand with me?"
So are
I
we
find
going to
that
get
very
a run it back of the thing, the 4-way, where Jungle Boy had the chance to hit the champion with the title, or to hit a challenger with the title? In this case, it would have to be the champion, but once again, he refused to. Does he give in this time? Let's be honest, no one can see Jungle Boy being the new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion.
There's no way he beats Sanada, especially with the fact that Sanada's going to be in the G1 as champion, and obviously he'll want to test his competition before
Maybe
Wrestle Kingdom
Jungle
in
Boy
January.
appears in his place. We'll get Jungle Boy in the G1.
I still think Sanada will be involved.
That would toughen him up. But yeah, I mean, as we said, in addition to that, the MJF match has been announced. I would, viewers, take it with a pinch of salt. I don't think
If he doesn't
MJF
show
is
that,
going to show up.
if he doesn't, I'll be disappointed, because I get it makes sense to his character not to show up because he doesn't care. But
yeah, it will
this is
remain
one
to
that
be
he
seen if it's character or if he just doesn't show up.
He has talked down New Japan lately in promos. Obviously, he's talked it down, saying it's not worth it. So
Well,
I
go
think if
back
he
to
really wants to prove
the
his point,
pipe
he has to do
bomb
it.
last year.
Yep.
A pipe bomb that Hot Take is better than CM Punk's.
Interesting.
It just
To a
is.
degree.
It just is.
I think if you are going to talk down a promotion, to back it up, you have to physically go there and beat one of their absolute best to
You
prove a
also have
point.
to not tank as the world champion. But that's
True.
precisely what he's doing. Speaking of tanking world champions, tanking world champion on a tanking show, and a tanking world champion contender on a tanking show. Impact happened, Reece.
Yeah, it did.
It's never going to get old mocking Impact's viewing numbers, by the way. This will always and forever be a thing. It's watched by 4 people, it's filmed in a barn.
No, it's not.
Always the truth.
No, it's not.
Anyway, what happened over there on the dark side?
So, in contrast, it was actually a main event. So, okay, hold on. It was 115,000 viewers, by the way, this past week. You know what? I'll take that. That's not so bad.
Okay, I guess.
Considering where they're actually presented to, like Access and all that, I can't really. I'm not going to slate them for it because they're actually still doing good work. I just want them to go and do more. I want them to go bigger venues. And funnily enough, so did because D'Lo Brown is still involved backstage. He's also said the same thing. He wants to see the end goal being they go back to bigger arenas. He said that himself. He wants Impact to go back to bigger arenas, and I think because they've got access of Anthem and all that, I've got big money behind them. I'm like, go and do it. I'm like, go and put them on big arenas. Give this company some respect. They've been around for 21 years. The talent works really hard. They deserve to be in front of bigger crowds. And I'm thinking Nick Aldis is a good way to build it in this sense. But anyway, quick recap from Impact. Scott D'Amore has taken a leave of absence as president, obviously per storyline, because obviously he screwed Bully Ray at Against All Odds. So obviously the Anthem board on that sense, who pretty much operate above him, have told him to take a leave of absence as president. He's done that, but before he did that, he made a match. It will be Scott D'Amore and PCO versus Macklin and Bully Ray at Slammiversary. So Scott D'Amore is actually going to wrestle for the first time in 15 years, so that'll be interesting. The Aldis heel turn came from a 5-on-5 mixed tag match. Aldis was on the same team as Alex Shelley. It was the Machine Guns, Deonna, Trinity, and Aldis. Funnily enough, the two main titles for the men and the women were on the same team, and then obviously one of them turns heel. That's Nick Aldis. He lamps Alex Shelley with the world title belt in the face, which is obviously on the thumbnail, which I'll show to everybody. 1 second, in case you haven't seen it. There you go. Right at the very top. Stand above him, turns heel. All I'm going to say now, that is the right decision, in my opinion. You can't have Alex Shelley turn heel anyway. Like he hasn't been heel since 2006. You cannot have Alex Shelley turn heel when he's done this. It had to be Nick Aldis. He's not long back in the company. He's already an established main eventer. He's already held one of the most prestigious world titles in history in the NWA world title. He's held it twice. His second reign was over 1,000 days. He has to be the heel coming into Slammiversary, the main show, obviously the celebration show. Obviously Bound for Glory is the biggest one, but like the main show is still Slammiversary because it's a celebratory show. It'll be 21-year show. And obviously as well, he's more natural as a heel. I just think he has more of a heel presence than a babyface. He's a decent babyface, but as a heel, he's so much better. But I like the fact that he turned heel in the same format. As soon as the match ended, you want your title? Well, here you go. Lamp to the face.
Oh, it's a way to do it. Again, so sort of for the long term though. Nick Aldis versus Alex Shelley. Is that the sort of match that you think Impact could put on in a larger venue?
Not particularly, and that's not a dig.
That's the thing.
Not
The star power is so lacking. And we mentioned it last week. They don't have the people to do it. Not in this current climate. Not when you've got people who have to spend all that money for an AEW ticket or a WWE ticket. They can't then also find the money for an Impact ticket.
I think what they're waiting on to go to a big arena. I think they're waiting on Josh Alexander to return from injury, because I think the best match to go with in a big arena is Alexander versus Aldis. I think that is probably their best. I think that is their best shot, because Josh Alexander is well established. He's well liked in the business as well. He's well liked in Japan as well. When he went over and done matches with Kushida, he done matches with Kenta, he done matches with Minoru Suzuki, and they were all well established and good 20-minute matches. But they're also in front of good sized crowds. And Nick Aldis is already well established as well. So when you look at it, I think they can't go wrong with that one. But the problem is his arm's busted, so you'll be waiting a while. But I do think if they're not going to go and sell at a 20k arena. Let's be real, they're not going, and that's coming from me as a long-term Impact fan. They're not going to go and sell at a 20.
Not.
But I generally think with what they do have though, there is no shame in them trying to go for at least a 10 to 12, maybe 15k a push arena. It's not that they don't have the star quality. I don't think they've got. I don't know if Anthem and Access just have that belief, and they seem very restrained. And I'm like, you're a wrestling company. You're trying to produce quality entertainment for fans as well, who actually pay to watch your shows, who actually enjoy the product. If you're getting 115,000 viewers a week, sometimes it could be about 150. It depends on the card, but if that's your basis, go and at least try. Because if you at least go and get a 10 to 12k arena, you might see the viewers go from 115. They could approach nearly 200. And there's no shame in getting 200k a week as well, when you can actually try and increase that. Not month on month, that's not possible. But say every 2 or 3 months, if you do solid work, you could see from maybe 115 to maybe 200k in the space of a month if you get a bigger arena. That's possible. but then you could see 200 in the space of like 3-4 months. It could rise to nearly 400, and you're hitting Rampage views. And in sense of it,
yeah, I mean, if
it's not
you
a bad
hit
idea.
Rampage views again, I think very soon Impact is going to hit Rampage views, but that'll be because Rampage stops being watched. Because to be honest, neither show's all that must see. Unlike what happened last night on SmackDown.
Yeah.
The main event storyline. We've spoken about how it's had its ups and its downs, and it's not been consistent storytelling. I don't even think it's a particularly great story. If I was marking it, it would get a B. But the highs of it would be, A+, nigh on perfect. And last night was another example of this. Just spectacular storytelling from everyone involved in this stable. Jay, Jimmy, Solo, Paul, and of course the tribal chief Roman Reigns, and Sami Zayn with his little cameo appearance. It all tied in so nicely. It was all working so well. The pop Sami Zayn got. We're talking like a 30-second segment here, people. It just shows Jey Uso walking backstage.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn sat on an equipment crate. They just look at each other. Sami Zayn sort of goes to pat. I don't even remember him actually patting Jey Uso on the back. It was just sort of like a nod.
Yeah.
And the crowd exploded into chants of Uso. Because Sami Zayn is still ridiculously over. And I like that they've kept him on the periphery of this storyline. They've not decided that he's completely forgotten his history with Jey Uso. That was fantastic. And Jey Uso on the mic. Where's it come from?
No idea.
He's gone from. I mean, let's be honest. The Uso penitentiary stuff. That's fine. It was a bit sort of bit cookie cutter. They would say the same thing every time, and that's fine. You could argue that the New Day say the same thing every time. You could argue that for a lot of people. Just generally for how they lay out promos. But this was fiery from Jey Uso last night.
Yeah.
He was everything I did, and he lists it off, and the fact that he made it to the main event, mentioned that he main evented WrestleMania, which he did, but he wasn't in the match, and people were absolutely horrified by it.
Yep.
Because obviously WrestleMania's main event was one on interference, and little did we know what precedent that was going to set for this whole Roman Reigns run. No, he says, I did this, I did that, and it was all because of him. And that's, and he turns to Jimmy. He's like, that's why you're out. And like, oh, he's just put Jimmy out the bloodline. And he keeps hold of the mic just long enough. The crowd boo and they boo. And just as the boos die down, and I'm out too. And the crowd pop, and it's a super kick to Roman Reigns. Excellent cinema once again from this company.
I'm not calling it cinema.
Oh,
I'm not.
Cinema. If it took place outside of a wrestling ring, this is excellent cinema. The way they set this up and played it off across
I'm just not.
the night
I'm just not
is
call. I'm just not
fantastic.
call. I'm just not calling it cinema because that seems to be the go-to thing these days. I thought it was very well done, but the only thing is it's one of two things. It's either leave the ring or it's a super kick. Like it's predictable. It's good, but it's predictable. But that was a different sort of predictable. That
but
was hard to predict.
you got to give the crowd what they want to see, and the crowd definitely wanted to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah. It's the only exception.
The big concern comes back to, can Roman Reigns keep the belt till next year's Mania with all this going on around him?
It's going to have to happen, though.
Does it?
Well, they can't exactly have the title taken off him. Like, I still don't think either Uso's believable to beat him. Like, I don't
No.
like people are still chanting for Jey Uso or Jimmy to win the world title, and I'm like, behave yourself. I'm like, no, if any of them win the world title, then you may as well just forfeit being a champion now, because that's pointless. The whole Bloodline feud should end with them getting rid of Roman once and for all. I still stand by that, but he should not be dropping that title to one of them, because then that makes it that completely defeats the purpose of the story.
No, you don't drop it to one of the Usos, but
You don't drop it to Solo either.
No, but it doesn't change that he could still lose it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that illusion
could still lose it to a number of people who either haven't gone for it before or they have gone for it before, but they get another shot. I don't see how they keep Roman Reigns going.
Mentally unstable. I think they have to maintain one thing, and that's the mentally unstable version of Roman's character. The tribal confusion, as I'm calling it now. The tribal confusion.
He's made it to the point where he's Caesar.
Oh yeah.
And he's gone so mad with power that he's just completely deranged, and he completely believes he's above everyone. Like, it is so clear in every promo and every segment that they do.
It's ironic that the Cody Rhodes promo before WrestleMania has happened, and obviously Roman doing what he does best. The whole defiance is not going to happen, and it has happened. A chief with no tribe, a chief with no tribe, a Roman with no reigns. But he got one thing wrong, but I like the fact they've done this deliberately. He said Jey would leave first, then Jimmy. But in opposite, it was Jimmy, then Jey. I like this spun on that. But it's still the same impact.
Well, you could say that that Sami Zayn called it before Cody did. Because Sami was also saying if Jey leaves, it all falls down.
Correct.
And sure enough, Jey leaving has led to this. We call it the end of the Bloodline. People are calling it the Bloodline is done. It's not. There's still 3 people.
Like, it's over in the sense that it's the main group is officially gone. Like, it's no longer the Usos with Roman and Solo and Heyman. But you do still have Roman, Solo, and Heyman versus the Usos now.
What do you think of them adding someone to the Bloodline?
I hope they don't.
I hope they don't. But I can see them doing it, particularly if you need to actually drag something out till Mania.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, I don't think you could have it that the guy that's going to beat Roman joins the Bloodline. Whether it be Cody or someone else, that wouldn't make any sense. It made sense the way Sami Zayn did it.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing those Sami Zayn reactions, I'm genuinely convinced if you don't go with Cody, you have to go with Sami.
Yeah.
You could have the Bloodline in a new image. You could have Sami with the Usos.
I still think the way Solo looked at Roman at Clash, when he didn't look at him, he looked at the titles. Since then, he's been very much Bloodline, like stand support. Oh, would you like me to do this, my tribal chief? Would you like me to do this? And he's doing all this. Like, he's completely changed his dynamic, but I still think he's looking towards. Well, I still think Roman is. I think Roman still, like, people think that Roman's more afraid of Jey Uso. I don't. I still think he's more afraid of Solo, because he keeps holding Solo back. Him and Paul Heyman, brilliantly by design, hold him back. They hold him back because they know he's more aggressive, they know he's more cunning, they know he's more dangerous, and they know that he is the wild card in the whole thing. Like, he is the wild card in the whole Bloodline, because they don't know where his loyalty really is going to lie. Is he
Yeah,
live with his
and
cousin?
yet
Is
I
he live with his
still
brothers?
don't want him. I still don't want him to be the world champion.
He doesn't have to be world champion.
I just
Doesn't have to be.
don't want that to be what they're building to. But what we've been building to is another show. We will be back tomorrow evening. Not confirmed if it's 7 o'clock or 7:30. We'll just see how we're going. It's going to be the quiz. It's going to be between an hour and an hour and a half long, and you're welcome to join us. I've written it, so we know that all the questions are going to be absolutely fantastic. We know there's not going to be any controversy, and we know that there's going to be plenty of ECW involved. But we are looking at that going ahead tomorrow. So yeah, join in if you like. Who have we got? Have we got people coming on for it, like video wise?
Me, Davian, Mallow, Shar will be in the chat. I'm trying to still get the likes of Billy. Abel says he can't make it. But I'm trying to get a few people, and if anyone wants to watch, so if anyone wants to take part live, obviously let us know. Anyone's more than welcome. But that is the aim, and I'm taking part this time as well. So
And 7 p.m. is what we're shooting for. We may have to move it to later, but come on, we're all grown up.
the stream's already created as well. I've already done that today. I'd done it before we went live. I created the link, so it's ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, so we will shoot for 7 o'clock. But that will do it for today. So come back tomorrow and test your brain against what I've been cooking up. This fantastic little wrestling quiz I've got here hidden on this laptop. No one getting a hold of the answers.
And you can take me on as well.
Yeah, take Reece on. He's only lost just about every quiz that he's done on the channel.
No, I haven't.
But until next time, people, next time is obviously just tomorrow. I'm going to let Reece do the honours and hit that outro.
Absolutely. So to everyone that has watched today, thank you very much. It's been a fantastic show. We'll obviously be back tomorrow. We went nearly 1 hour and 13 minutes, so it's just not so bad. We've got a lot to get through, but in our essence, that's part 1 of 2 of the weekend. This has been the Weekly Steelchair. I'm your host, Reece. It's my co-host, Eilidh, and we will be back tomorrow for more exciting Steelchair content. Bye for now.